Yeah?
Once.
But it's a while since, no? So,
A few weeks.
few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about something?
I suppose my tendency is always to want to plan.
You want a plan?
Yeah, everything. Yeah. So I'd like to try and reduce that habit.
If you like to plan, plan.
Если вам нравится планировать, планируйте.
It simply depends how you are doing it.
Просто это можно делать по-разному.
If you are planning in the sense that you are always worried what could happen, then you are draining your life force into all that you imagine that could come.
Когда вы воображаете о том, что может произойти.
But you can be in the present and think about the future. I mean, we have to plan something, even if you want to take a bus. Somehow you have to know where to go and what time the bus is going. And so in your life you can plan things, but plan with the idea that you have a preference that it may work out like this, but then keep that broad-heartedness that it may work out or it may not work out at all. If you plan like this, it doesn't hurt you. But if you plan and after that fix yourself, it has to turn out like this, then you're most of the time in trouble, because most of the time things don't exactly turn out the way we think they should turn out.
But I think I also use planning as a way to get away from the now.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
an escape.
As an escape.
Yes.
I wonder what I'll do when I get to Berlin next week.
Yeah. That's what the mind is doing all the time with anything, just being busy with something except connecting, except keeping quiet, except that which is needed most. And the habit is so strong that we think that's normal, that's natural. It's simply usual, it's not natural. And that aspect of ourselves that has gotten used to live like this doesn't really want to give up. Somewhere, everybody who starts to seek truth is aware something is missing, something is not quite right in my life, so we want to find something better, some better state of existence, and then we hear about it's possible to get out of it and pursue it, but still the mind always simply doesn't really want to give up, but simply wants to make the life a little bit more comfortable. And then when you start to really push a little bit against the limits, if you go deeper, then it comes. On one hand, deep down in everyone, there is a longing for truth, a longing for infinity, a longing to be free. It's simply there, it's natural, you can't help it. That's what drives people all along. Simply, we have learned to try to fill up that longing with all kinds of crazy things. More wealth, more this, more that, more kicks. Just do anything trying to fill up that longing to be in your natural, relaxed state. And then, when we start to do it differently and start to go deeper, then that aspect that has been discharged doesn't give up so easily, and so simply will draw your attention again out, or come with arguments that it's not doing anything, it's not getting anywhere, can try, it's not helping. deep down that longing is there, but as soon as we push a bit the limits of where we usually functioning, then something comes back and says, I didn't mean it like that. Don't get disheartened if you become aware that this is happening. Simply at that moment when you become aware that you are again planning simply to escape, at that moment don't start a big story about it and see you doing it again. You can see, okay, there it's happening again, but at that moment you just let go and come back home here now and let go. Relax. It's not that we need to make a tremendous effort to get somewhere. It's not the goal at the end of a long journey. It's not that we have to somehow work and in that work we are creating that. What we are looking for is already here. It's here now. It's that makes you tick, that because of which you can feel and hear and smell and taste and touch, because of which any experience is possible. So the effort is simply becoming aware what tremendous effort we are always unconsciously making to get estranged from it. And then learn not to do that anymore. The effort is to catch the attention. It's just that little effort to see what's going on and turn the attention 180 degrees. But that much somehow we are asked to do. And as long as that habit is strong, that throws us away from it, we cannot do differently but just do it again and again and again and again and again and again. But if you do so sincerely, there will also be those moments where it suddenly comes out of the blue. You don't do it, you didn't do anything, just feel at ease, at peace. Natural. You wonder where it came from? You wonder why you are not functioning all the time like this? And then there we start again, our story, blah blah blah, and there it goes again. But if you, and then when we become aware, there we are going again. You cannot do anything else, but there you start again to catch your attention somehow and bring it back. So when it's useful to plan, there's nothing wrong, just then don't get lost in the future. That is most probably anyhow turning out differently than we think about it. But you can have your preferences. It's not that you have to become completely indifferent whether things turn this way or that way. You can have your preferences, that you like certain things more than others, that you like certain music more than others, that you like certain people more than others, that you like certain more circumstances more than others. And if you can arrange your life that it is according to the way you prefer. Simply don't get obsessed with it. Fix your attention with it. Don't give it the power that if it works out, you are happy. If it doesn't work out, you are suffering. If it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, also fine. When you catch yourself unnecessarily planning because there's no point in planning, then just accept, oh, it's still happening, so there is a little more work to do.
есть
And
еще
then don't get
чем-
lost in that.
над чем
Simply
поработать.
use that moment of clarity to turn your
И
attention
просто
back to the
поворачивать
now.
внимание к себе.
Learn to relax. The more
Учитесь
you
расслабляться.
become capable of relaxing it, the more it becomes something attractive for the mind. As long as we think it's something we can only touch, as long as we make a tremendous effort,
Можем это только
then
делать
for the
огромными
for
усилиями.
the mind it looks like something
Думать, что это что-то
not
трудное,
not pleasant to look for.
что неприятное.
The more you become capable of letting go
Но
in
чем
it,
больше вы
relaxing
можете
it,
расслабиться,
in it, the more
в этом,
it becomes also, you become aware.
тем
Actually,
больше вы
that
начнете
is where
осознавать,
your happiness is coming.
откуда приходит ваше счастье.
You can arrange the circumstances to your liking.
Всё окружение,
if it
как вы
works
хотите.
out,
Если получится,
but
хорошо.
it's not those circumstances that
No.
are going to make you happy.
Не эти обстоятельства делают вас счастливым.
Happiness, that joyousness of
Это
existence
счастье
comes out of yourself.
приходит
You
изнутри вас,
are the source of your happiness.
потому что вы источник вашего счастья.
It's simply when we like the circumstances,
Когда нам
it's
нравится
easier to let go and relax,
обстоятельства,
and
нам
for some
просто
time
легче
not torture
расслабиться.
your mind and think it should be
А в
different.
другое время мы думаем, что все должно быть
And in
по-другому.
that relaxation, a little bit of that joyousness which is simply there all the time,
Вот
which
этой
needs
радости,
not be
которая всегда
created.
есть,
That joyousness of existence has
не
a
надо
chance to
создавать.
come to the surface,
Она просто выходит на
and we
поверхность.
feel happy.
И мы чувствуем
After that,
счастье.
we have the
После
tendency
этого у нас
to make the
тенденция
mistake to
мы делаем
think I
ошибку
was happy
и думаем,
because
что
of
я
this
был
and this
счастлив
and this
благодаря
and this, and then we
этим
want to hold on
обстоятельствам.
to, we want to recreate it,
за них,
and we want to do
пытаемся
it again,
снова
and
воссоздать,
there we running again and struggling, and most of the time it doesn't work out.
страдать.
But that happiness was not coming from the circumstances. It was simply the circumstances that were to our liking that made it easier
Просто
to
благодаря
let go.
тому, что мы принимали
Then
то,
we
что
feel happy.
происходило, мы могли расслабиться.
When I meditate in some good moments, I'm very aware of my breath, my sensations, my feelings. I see the thoughts coming and going, and so. But how come I back to the source, to the now? I have to ask some questions.
Задать вопрос такой.
How come I to the who knows, who sees all this?
Right.
Как
You
понять,
can
кто
ask
это
the
всё
question, Ramana's question,
задать
if you
вопрос,
want to.
который придумал Рамана Махарши.
Who is experiencing
Кто
all this?
переживает все это?
Who is aware of the breath?
Кто это наблюдает
But-
дыхание?
And then waiting for an answer.
No, exactly.
Но не
Not
нужно
like
ждать
that.
ответа.
Not asking the question,
Не задать
hoping that
вопрос,
ever you will get an
надеясь, что
answer.
придет какой-то ответ.
It's not that you can ask a question and ask a question and ask a question, and eventually
И в конце
somewhere,
концов
look,
получите
the answer comes.
понимание, ответ.
The thing is, there is no answer
В
to
том,
the
что нет
question.
ответа.
You are the answer.
Вы есть ответ.
So the question is just one
Вопрос —
way
это просто один из способов
to open up to go deeper. That's all.
открыться и идти глубже к
The
источнику.
question is just one way to bring the attention
Вопрос,
back
чтобы
and turn it in
один
the right
способ
direction.
привести
But
внимание
if
в
you are
правильное
doing
направление.
your meditation and you have those moments
Если у вас
where
такие
you have that
хорошие
clarity
медитации, когда есть
and you are
ясность,
aware of the breath and the
Вы
sensations
осознаете
and the
дыхание,
thoughts coming and
ощущения,
going, and you are not
какой
getting
мысли,
caught up in it.
и вы не цепляетесь за них.
One way to consciously go deeper is just to
Осознайте глубже,
to open
Просто открыться.
and to let go, relax.
И расслабиться.
I
Relax.
don't understand.
No, you don't have to understand.
Не нужно воспринимать.
You simply have to do it.
Просто делайте.
There's nothing to understand.
Нечего
That's the
понимать.
thing.
Это не вещь.
It's not that the mind can go deeper. With the mind, you have helped yourself to, when you get that state, to come to that state.
Состояние.
And the maximum you can do with the mind is maybe give the impulse by asking the question, but who, or maybe better to ask what, because then otherwise if you ask who, you ask looking for somebody. What is it
Что это?
that makes it possible?
Что делает возможным это переживание?
But not as an intellectual
Но
question,
не как интеллектуальный
hoping to
вопрос.
get an answer,
В
that
надежде,
eventually you can catch it,
что вы
grasp it.
понять.
Once you have it, you have it.
Можете
It's not something to be grasped, not something to be caught, not something to
что-то,
have.
что можно поймать и иметь.
You are there.
Вы есть
You are
это.
the answer.
Вы есть этот ответ.
You can't understand
Вы не можете это понять.
because the English word is perfect.
Английское
As long
слово,
as you
оно
are understanding, you are standing under,
understanding переводится
and you
буквально
have
как
to come right to the
быть
center of it.
чем-то. А вам нужно прийти к центру этого.
Actually, when that happens, what you describe,
Когда
just
происходит то,
be
что вы
alert.
писали, быть
what can happen when that happens, and it's becoming quite enjoyable,
это станется
that we
приятным
sort of have the
состоянием.
tendency to a bit close
У
down
нас есть тенденция
start
закрываться
get into a dream-like
как бы
state in
дремать
it.
в этом состоянии.
And there we just float. It's not bad, but it
Это
doesn't bring you
неплохо.
deeper.
Но вы не идете глубже.
And just somehow remind you to
Просто
stay
напомните
alert and
себе
open.
оставаться бдительным и открытым.
And as good as you can on
Насколько
all the levels,
возможно,
just relax.
расслабляйтесь.
That's about as far as you can do something
Это
about
все,
it.
что вы можете
That's the
сделать.
thing. The difficulty for the mind
в том,
to
для ума,
accept
что
that basically you cannot really do the
вы не
thing.
можете сделать это.
And yet
Но все же
we have to do something.
нам что-то надо делать.
Because if we simply don't do anything, we just go on in the usual trap and create the usual suffering over and over and over and over again.
Постоянно.
The first doing is to become aware
Что вы должны делать?
how much
Осознать,
we are doing anyhow all
сколько
the
мы
time,
постоянно
unconsciously.
делаем,
How much
чтобы
effort
это
we are
страдание.
making continuously to create our misery, to create our suffering, to just make ourselves all the time miserable.
Себя несчастными постоянно.
It's a tremendous effort we are expending to keep that alive, to do that all the time. But then
Потом
it's not that we have to do something to create something new, but become aware what we are doing and learn not to do that anymore. That is the effort. But then when you come to that state you are described, that happens sometime in your meditation, then you can't really do the thing to go beyond that. But you can prevent you can be alert that you don't prevent it, at least that you're open. In a way, finally, all we can do is make ourselves available. Then even the jnani becomes a devotee at that point. Okay, I've done my job, it's all yours. You can call it God, you can call it the self, that something else can take over. And you can initiate it, but we can do a lot to prevent it. But we can make ourselves available. We can invite it. And coming back to that state as good as you can, as often as you can, is the best invitation. And being then at that point, just be alert that you just don't a bit float off in it and sort of rather close down again, but keep that openness
Сохраняйте открытость.
and wait and see what happens.
И ждите, что произойдет.
Did you only... No. You didn't lift your hand because you wanted to say...